All right, so workshop 2 help. Let's look and see what we have. All right, workshop 2 has a little less assignments than workshop 1. So first of all, you do the Bible, which should be pretty straight. Let's go to the Pythagorean theorem one. Okay, for these, the Pythagorean theorem, you have 3 options and you have to choose 2. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I think you should just do 2 and 3. They're the most straightforward and they have the least problems with them. I will go over 1, but as I said, I don't really recommend for you to do it because it's the most complicated one. So basically what it does is it starts out here and it gives you this scenario where B is your longest segment and A is half the size of B and C is half the size of A. So on a grid you can see that that's the case, that if B is 4 units long, A is 2, and then CD is 1. All right, and so what you're supposed to do is you are trying to find out what's the shortest path to go from A, crossing through BC, and then finally ending up at D. So it wants you to determine, what part of BC is it best to go through? So it gives you some potential scenarios. You could go through F or you could go through G. The problem is because we want this to be a right triangle, you're going to have to actually pass through segment BC. I will show you. Hint number 1, it says, okay, if I'm going to cross through point G, I'm going to take D and I'm going to put it on the other side of the line. And I'm going to say, all right, so if I draw a line from A to D prime, that's called, the little mark up there is D prime. And this is now a triangle. You can see it is a right triangle. So that's what I was trying to do, is make sure I can construct a right triangle so I can calculate the path of AD prime, that horizontal on the left-hand side. Because you can clearly see that A to E is 1, 2, 3, 4 units, and E to D is 1, 2, 3, 4 units. So A to D would just be the square root of 4 squared plus 4 squared. Or you can also determine to look here and see that FD prime and FD are the same distance because these are what's called isosceles triangles. The distance from FD prime, the distance from FD is the same because clearly you can see that CD prime and CD are the same distances. All right, so you are supposed to describe the shortest point from these segments and calculate them accordingly. You can do that one, it's fine, but I would recommend you do 2 and 3. They're just a little bit easier. All right, so if you choose to do 2, I went ahead and did an example for you, so let me show you that example. Take either a piece of rectangle or a triangle in your house, and this is just a little drawer separator that I picked up in my house, and it's a rectangle, so I'm going to measure both legs. So first of all, when I measure this leg here, I get 4 3/4. So I write it here, 4.75. It's easier if you convert it to decimals. And then for this one, I get 2.25, 2 1/4. I'm gonna predict, what I'm supposed to be predicting is the diagonal here. I'm just gonna say maybe the prediction is about, I don't know, 5.5 inches. So we're gonna measure it and see exactly what it is. And the measuring comes to be pretty close. 5 1/4. 5.25 inches. So now finally the calculations is I'm gonna do leg 1, which is 4.75 squared plus 2.25 squared, and that's going to equal C squared. Okay, on my calculator, I'm gonna say 4.75 squared plus 2.25 squared, and that is going to get me 27.625. I need to find the square root of that. 27.625, and I'll tell you why here in a second. And I get 5.26 about. So, excuse me. So the reason I did that was because this here is, remember, we got 27.625. And my C is equal to 5.26. And you have to explain why the difference. And the reason the difference is because, you know, we're using a rough measurement. As you can see that I've got, I mean, it's pretty close, but I'm using a rough measurement on my tape measure. It's not going to be completely exact. So my exact measure is going to be a little bit closer just than measuring it. Although, you know, it all depends on how accurate those were as well. But that's all you would do. You do a couple of those and answer the questions. Again, you can use anything rectangular, square, or triangular. All right, so once you have done that part, you're going to put it into the Excel spreadsheet. So I've got the Excel spreadsheet that I went ahead and started here. And the thing I just wanted to help you with is the equation here. We've already given you the equation in the forum to go ahead and of exactly how to write it out. But the only thing that I just wanted to show you, so I'll show you, like for mine, it was, what do we have, 4.75 and 2.25. And it predicted that it's 5.26, right? And my predicted, I said I predicted is 5.5. My measured came out to be 5.25, and there was the calculation. Now, let's say I had another one that was 3 and 4. We know that's gonna be a 3, 4, 5, right? And let's say this one was 5 and 7, I don't know. And this is what it's showing you, is it tells you, you can write that again and again and again, but it's showing you to save yourself some time. You'll see when you click this, there's a bold point here, and you just can drag it down, and it's going to automatically look here in the top left corner what's changing as I'm moving cells. The only thing that's changing is it's doing from A2 to A3 to A4. So it's copying that formula for you, so you do not have to do it again. All right, and then just go ahead and make sure you answer all of your questions. If you don't answer the questions on time, then it's not complete, so make sure you do that. All right, the last one is Pythagorean theorem number 3. For this one, the first thing you're going to do for Pythagorean theorem number 3 is you're going to draw a triangle with each leg as 1 unit by 1 unit. It did this one for you. And then you're going to make a square off each leg. And then it says, hey, what's the area of that square off each leg? And because 1 times 1 is 1, it's a square, 1 squared. So each one has a 1. And then the area of the hypotenuse is, well, since this is 1 and this is 1, the leg is 1, then the hypotenuse is going to be square root of 1 squared plus 1 squared, which is square root of 2. So each side square root of 2 on the square, and square root of 2 times square root of 2 is 2. So I know that verbal explanation might have sounded hard to follow. If you rewind it and write down the words I said, it might be easier. But if it's also hard to follow, I am going to do one more written explanation for you. So I'll also do the 2 for you. So this is the second one. So for the 2, you'll go, and this will be 2. I love that it straightens my lines for me. So this is going to be 2 by 2. So obviously this area is going to be 4. Okay, so this one as well is obviously going to be the same exact thing, because that's 2 by 2, so that area is going to be 4. Now this one here is different, so I'll do it a different color. And we're going to go out to the nearest dot that's straight, there we go. And it's the same length. And so this one here, first of all, I have to find that hypotenuse. And how do I find that hypotenuse? Square root of 2 squared plus 2 squared, because that's each side. And remember, the Pythagorean theorem is going to be square root of a squared plus b squared. That's a c, where a is a side, b is 1, 2, and c is the hypotenuse. Yeah, kind of a little funny little rhyme I came up. Anyway, so this is going to be 4 plus 4, which is going to be square root of 8, and we can simplify this to 2 times 2 times 2, and this here is going to come out to 2 square root of 2. Because this here is 4, and what's the square root of 4? 2, and so that's why I can bring that out. So I know that this is 2 square root of 2. This is 2 square root of 2, because these are also, this is a square. So how do I find the area of a square? Obviously length times width. So what is 2 square root of 2? Oh, sorry about that. Times 2 square root of 2. Well, if I multiply the parts in front, 2 times 2 is 4. I multiply the parts inside. Square root of 2 times square root of 2 is square root of 4. Well, what's square root of 4? It's 2. So this is going to be 4 times 2, and that's going to be 8. So this area is going to be 8. If you chose to not simplify, that's fine in this area, and you just stuck here, what's this going to be? Because that's just 2 square root of 2. The same thing would be square root of 8 times square root of 8, even more simple for you, and probably the preferred method to do that is going to be 8, going to be the same thing. So at that point, you would fill out, what you would have filled out on this form is that 4 is the leg square, 4 is the leg 2 square, and then 8 is the area of the hypotenuse square. Anyway, keep doing that. And make this onto an Excel spreadsheet or something, and write this, keep it nice and neat, and then go ahead and put it in the different questions and everything, and do what it's asked you to do. Okay, so that is workshop 2.2. Let's go back. For 2.3, it's Alex, and it gives you some different videos and things to watch, and if there's issues that you have with Alex, please let me know. That's the interactive homework. And the last is 2.4 of why do I need to know this? Okay, so why do I need to know this? Gives you a little bit of an Excel homework to do. They're all equally as difficult or easy. They basically, each one of them gives you a set of information and asks you a bunch of different questions, and it wants you to put it in some sort of a Prezi or PowerPoint sort of type presentation afterwards. So what I'm going ahead and show you, I went ahead and did one of them. I started one of them for you just so I could show you this information, and this is what it comes up with. And I need to do 2 things. Number 1, I need to go ahead and calculate how many females and males. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sort. So you're going to go to the data tab, and really I think the easiest way to do is just to go sort ascending or sort descending, and then it takes the females and puts them in a group, and then takes the males and puts them in a group. And so that's what I did. So then at that point, you're going to count each one. And so less than 2, for instance, it has these 10, and there's 10 of those. And then between 3.0 and 3.9, you're going to go from there, and so forth and so on. So I went ahead and did that on a different sheet. So we're going to go ahead to my other sheet where I did that already. I've also created a histogram, which I'll show you how to do also. Okay, so let's go ahead and get these formulas in. So the first thing I did, as I said, is I went ahead and found how many each, and you're gonna highlight the females' weights and numbers so we can make our histogram, so we can make our graph. And I'm going to go ahead and insert chart. I'm going to go ahead and choose a column chart. I mean, this is a histogram, what we're doing, but it doesn't turn out quite right. So I'm just going to choose one of these, and it doesn't matter which one you choose. I'm just going to choose this one here. All right, and then you can change the chart title to female distribution, birth rates, or birth weights, excuse me. And then you do the same thing for the male once you count them up. Okay, so the next thing you're going to do is the mean. So I want to find the mean of the females. So I'm going to hit an equal sign, and I would write average, because that's the command for Excel. And I'm going to go ahead, and this first average is up here at C2. Now notice it went ahead and put C2 there for me. You can type C2 or you can click it. And then colon, I'm going to go down here all the way to the end of this one doesn't have the female sorted, so let me sort the female. So I'm just going to go down and see which is my last female. So it's going to be at 499. Which that's going to be from C2 to C 500 because it's one lower. And that gives me the mean. So median, I'm going to do the same thing, equals median. And then I'm going to go from the same ones, which were C2 to C500. And that gives me the median. And the mode, same thing, mode C2 to C500. And there you go. Okay, you're gonna do the same thing that I just did for the female, for the male. All right, and make sure you get your chart as well. All right, great. So let's go back to workshop 2. And I believe that should be it. You just choose one of these. And if you have any other questions, just let me know. All right, thank you.